Welcome to Playing the Big, Beautiful Long Game, where entrepreneurship meets spirituality. In this podcast, we explore the intersection of personal fulfillment, spiritual growth, and business success. This podcast delves into the idea that entrepreneurship is not just about profits or growing businesses. It's also about embracing purpose, meaning, and inner growth. Each episode features conversations with entrepreneurs and thought leaders who share their journeys of building businesses that align with their highest values and deepest calling. I'm your host, Debbie Zita. Sit back, relax, and thank you for being here. Welcome, gorgeous Fi. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to be with us.
Thanks for having me, Debbie.
You're very welcome. Can you please let the audience know who you are and what it is that you do?
Sure, would love to. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here with us. So my name is Fi Mims. I'm based in Melbourne, and I'm basically a mentor and coach and personal brand photographer. And I specialise in personal branding and visibility, mostly for women 40 plus who work in service-based businesses. A lot of the work I do is around helping them build their visibility online and build really sustainable, profitable businesses that really light them up, that are also meaningful and give them time and freedom to do what they love in life. So it's all about empowering women through visibility, personal branding, and just stepping into their power.
Yeah, and you are so amazing at what you do. I think we met 2.5 years ago or something like that. Our paths sort of crossed, and I've been following you on Insta since then. I was that person that was terrified of Instagram to the point where I couldn't actually even say Instagram. So for me to actually even be on the app and liking things, I was like, I'm so proud of myself. This is amazing. But no, you are very inspiring. You always have such positive, colorful, beautiful content. And I'm so grateful that we connected.
Yeah, me too.
Fi, also totally random question. Is Fi your full name or is it a nickname?
It's Fiona.
I thought so.
But I feel like I'm in trouble when people call me by my full name.
Officially, I am Deborah, but I didn't know that until I was 16.
Ah,
So I've literally never been called Deborah. I won't turn around and you may as well say Fiona to me. It doesn't mean anything. Fi, what does playing bigger, playing beautiful mean to you?
Oh, that's such a great question. And I think it's something all women or all people, but obviously I focus a lot on women, all women should think about. I really feel that's about stepping into your power. And that's a big theme of mine this week, because as you know, I had an event last week and I had 3 beautiful speakers talking on what it means to step into your power as a woman in midlife. So this question to me is really powerful. And as I just said, I think it's about really stepping into your power, into the most authentic, aligned version of yourself, without losing anything that makes your life fulfilling or meaningful. So I think the really important thing with playing bigger is that it doesn't have to be loud or flashy or overly confident, which I think sometimes we can have negative thoughts come up around stepping into our power, stepping into our confidence, playing bigger. I think it's more about stepping into your purpose and what you really want to do in life, and really being inspired by that and not playing into what you think you should be doing with your life. So as I said, just being really authentic, letting your values lead you. I think, you would do a lot of work around values and they're so important, right? But I don't think we spend a lot of time, really ensuring that the decisions we're making and what we're doing are, led by our values and, the impact we want to make in the world. So that's what
I love that you share about values, Fi, because, it's something as a coach, as an entrepreneur, I've been hearing about that for 20 something years. And it was just kind of an abstract concept. But when I really sat down with the exercises that I had been giving my clients to do for so many years, and I was like, actually, wait a second, what really are my values? It became so clear to me where I'm working, who I'm working with, how everything is and isn't working, who I want to align with.
Yeah.
And it just, it's a game changer. Fi, what are your values? What's the most, what are your values?
Yeah. And similarly, I hadn't thought about values a lot, Debbie, until probably I started really diving deep into personal branding and what that means and how to come up with your personal brand. And values play a big role in your personal brand, right? Because we basically take our audience or our community on that journey with us. And for the most part, their values should be aligned with ours. So I did that work around values when I was really diving into my own personal brand. And the top 3 that generally rise to the surface of mine are joy, growth, and freedom. So, I mean, to me, as far as we know, we may only get one stab at this life that we can remember. So I think it's so important to wake up every day and do something that you love, which I'm very blessed to do. And I'm really inspired by growth. So I suppose, again, that's probably visible in my business that I'm always kind of pushing myself outside of my comfort zone, trying new things, doing new things, growing in new ways, whether that's through, getting on podcasts with you or reading books or going on stage and speaking, but also just in life in general. Like I love travel. It's like one of my passions. So, doing different things like that that help you grow as a person because you're understanding different cultures and the way the world works together. And obviously freedom. Like, I think we're all always aiming for freedom. And I think that's again why I really believe in women, especially building businesses that are sustainable and profitable, because I think, when we can build profitable, sustainable businesses, we can build freedom into our lives. And I think we all deserve that as well, being able to make the choices we want to make.
I love that. And I'm curious because I know sometimes we talk a lot in our community around, freedom and having time. But often what I find is I'll have a group of women that will go, what do I do with the time? Like, I don't want to create more time. I'm just curious, have you come across these types of conversations in your community as well?
No, oh my gosh,
No.
I find that really funny that they make
Yeah.
that comment. Like, I mean, I still work a lot in my business. So
Yeah.
I would love to make more time in my business and I could give you a long list of the things I'd be doing with that time.
Yeah.
But no, I think so for me, like that freedom is around being able to decide the work I want to do, who I want to work with every day. I feel really lucky to have built a life around that where that's possible. And obviously freedom to, again, within this business I've designed, take time off if I do need to. I do work hard, like I think a lot of entrepreneurs do. And obviously you have to work to bring in the money. And I just love that I love the work I do. But, the freedom to take time off with my partner or my kids if I really need to, spending it with friends as well. And I've got two parents in aged care that I have to help look after with my brother. So all those different things, that to me is also about freedom. But I've never had an issue with getting more time in my schedule. I'd welcome that.
I think maybe having the clarity also, this is just one piece, but around the values means
Mm,
that, if you do have your free time, you know how you would like to spend it. So
yeah.
perhaps if someone has any challenges with that, it's just looking around, what are your values and how can you get some clarity?
My
Um,
first thing, Debbie, is like a massive pile of about 50 books next to my bed.
I am the same. I am the same. I don't know if it's 50, it's probably about 12. But actually, we should
I'm way
take a
behind in
photo.
my
Can we
list.
do I would love to see if you do you literally have 50 next to your bed?
Well,
'Cause
I've been
I do.
thinking that would be a great social media post to
I know,
literally
right?
get all the books off the shelves and everything. Because I was a prolific reader as a child. I used to
Yeah.
just stay up so late in bed reading under the covers, and probably it was probably coincided with having twins and my business that I just. I really struggle with time now. I listen to a lot of podcasts as well. We get distracted by our phones. Um, and I just struggle to read like I used to. So I read when I'm on holidays, when I take breaks, and often I'll go to fiction stuff then as well. But I have so many business related books that I don't even know if I could create that post because I would literally be surrounded by them. It would be too embarrassing.
I almost want to do a challenge, and I don't know that we're going to have time, but I might have to add a photo on Insta. I'm curious to see what is at the top of both of our shelves. Like at the moment, next to my book, I know it's either a sales book or it's like a personal development, spiritual something something, which is pretty much the
Mm,
flavor of all of the books
yeah, that's
I
true.
have. But yeah, I will keep you posted, and you can.
Yeah.
Um, so how have you aligned your business with your purpose, Fee?
Um, I think I suppose when I started my business, it was just about doing something that I really enjoyed. So back then, I didn't even think about it in terms of purpose. I think that came later on in business. And again, I think that's something we talk a lot more about now as opposed to 20 years ago, because I've
Mm.
been in business for 20, 21 years now. So back then it was just what do I enjoy doing and what could I do that would also bring other people joy. That was literally my tick list. Like I went through school not knowing really what I wanted to do. I came to photography late. I had to work through a lot of limiting beliefs because I didn't feel like I was necessarily a creative person or a great photographer. I just wanted to do that. It ticked all my boxes. So I went for it. But I suppose back then that was my purpose, just to do something I loved and that brought joy to others. And then from that, it just, as my business evolved, I did weddings for 10 years, but then once I had kids, I decided to pivot into personal branding. And I very quickly, within the first year, knew I wanted to work with women. So that was when I probably, as the longer I've gone on, I felt more aligned with my purpose. So, really working with women to help them show up online through photography. And then obviously, as you've seen, that's developed over the last 5 years to really working with women in a deeper way through mentoring and coaching. So I suppose I've really followed my gut and my intuition, which I think is probably at the heart of your purpose anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I love that you didn't know. I was someone that didn't know. I knew that I wanted to help. I knew that I wanted to be of service, but I really just I wasn't clear on what that was. And it took me a long while to go, okay, meditation. And then it was, how do you market meditation? What is meditation? How do so it's, and I feel like with what I do, it's still kind of sometimes a bit of a gray area around what kind of meditation, what are the benefits of that. So it's always constantly evolving. But yeah, I love that we share that. In terms of the photography and getting started, you mentioned that you started with weddings.
Yep.
Was there like a business plan? Did you have a business coach or a mentor?
So I lived in London for a couple of years, and that's where I decided I wanted to become a photographer. And when I came back to Melbourne, I signed up to a short camera course, which then I went from that straight into, I signed up to a private college that was in Melbourne for 2 years, just part-time. And I only ended up completing the first year of that. But one of my teachers in there was a wedding photographer who had a wedding studio in Melbourne. So I went and worked part-time for her, as well as having other part-time jobs for a few years. So I went out and assisted her on weddings. And after a couple of years, very quickly was like, oh, I'd rather be out doing this on my own rather than assisting. Like, that was great experience. But I've always been fiercely independent and wanted to do everything myself, which I think sometimes is a benefit, sometimes a curse. So I just quickly sort of threw myself into my own business. So I would probably say I didn't have a business plan. I have always loved the business side of my business, which is why I think I've always been drawn to coaching as well, because I get just as much inspiration and fun out of, doing my figures and thinking about my growth plan and planning ahead and reflecting on what's happened and, all those kind of things. I love that side of my business just as much as the actual photography and the work itself. So I didn't have a business plan, but I suppose through my value of growth, I learned pretty quickly. Yeah. So, in those early years, I made a lot of mistakes, and you could definitely pin me down as one of those struggling creatives.
Oh, wow.
And that's probably another podcast, but I had years of like imposter syndrome and comparisonitis and all those things, which I talk about a lot in my work these days, because I worked through that probably back in about 2018, 2019, which is when a lot of things changed for me. So yeah, I think the beauty of these days is a lot of that business planning information, etc., is out there more now too, right? Yeah.
Definitely is. I think there's something like a 50% increase in the amount of small businesses since the pandemic. I don't know the exact stats. I love that you were talking about, the struggling creative. I was working a few years ago with a number of creatives, and it was almost as if there was a sense of pride, and they were quite attached to that story. And it took us a lot of unwrapping of the limiting beliefs and the narrative around it to bring them to a place of, actually, no, it's good to actually be organized and earn the money and have that. And I can still also be creative. It won't take away my creativity.
Yeah.
If anything, it might actually serve it more so. So if anyone's listening in that category, you actually can have both.
I think even you could broaden that to most entrepreneurs, right? We feel like we have to work so hard, and I fall into that belief sometimes because I'm a bit of a worker bee. I love just, doing the work. So it's really hard to get yourself out of that identity sometimes and go, actually, I don't have to work hard. Like I can, bring abundance in and not have to work 20 hours a day. So I think that's a great reminder, Deb. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's what I've learned is balance because for me, I
Mm.
didn't really know I had a body and needed to really do much on this kind of earthly realm. I was very like in the energy space for such a long time. But yeah, we need balance in every area.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
Fee, what does spirituality mean to you?
Mm. So I mean, as a kid, I actually grew up my parents were Christian and still are. So I grew up going to church. So I kind of grew up around that kind of spirituality, which I can't say I am religious in any way now, although the Christian values actually really spoke to me back then. So I suppose to me, that was my spirituality, living in a way that I felt was, I suppose, again, going back to values back then, but I wasn't thinking about them like values. These days, I would say, again, I suppose spirituality maybe comes back to that purpose and I think wanting to do something great with your life or something that is greater than you. So, um, really sitting in the impact you want to make in the world. And I think a large part of that is, for me, is about leaving the world in a better way than what I found it. Like, so that to me is about, so I suppose connection to me and spirituality is about connecting with the world and making sure that the way I show up and live in the world um, is led, I suppose, by my values, my spirit, and in a way that I think is going to benefit the world when I'm gone.
Beautifully said, really beautifully said. Fee, how do you think that we can integrate spirituality into entrepreneurship?
Probably that comes back to values again, which we sort of keep talking about. I think
Yeah.
just really following your intuition and letting yourself be led by your values. And I think, one of the big conversations that I often have around business is that it's not about us, it's about our clients, right? So probably again, just focusing on, well, what's the impact you're here to create in the world and what does that mean to you? Really sitting in that so that you are showing up for them. And I suppose in showing up for your clients, you're showing up for the world in a greater way. So really, yeah, following your instinct and your intuition and just walking through the world in a values-led way.
I love this. And if you saw me taking a note down, I was, because I think we may have the name of this episode, which is Know Your Values, but I can chat with you later and confirm it. But it's definitely a theme that is coming up for us today. Fee, how do you overcome limiting beliefs and embody abundance?
Oh, wow. It's such a big one, right?
Yeah, it
Limiting
is
beliefs
huge.
always come up. I have done a lot of work around this area, and I think these days it's about giving yourself the tools to overcome them because, I'm sure you're in agreement that no matter how much work you do around limiting beliefs, they will still come up. No matter how successful you become in life and how happy you are, they still come up. So I these days, if I do feel like I'm getting these negative thoughts around that, I very quickly remind myself of what I've achieved, the growth I've already achieved in my life, the value I've brought to my clients and my friends around me, the world so far. So, really sitting in that
Mm.
and reminding myself of the truth, which is that we all bring value to the world. And I really love celebrating wins as well. So I think that's a really nice way to remind yourself, whether it's a big win or a small win, to really remind yourself of what you've achieved. Because I think our brains they will always go first to that negative thought. And those negative thoughts are almost always untrue. Yeah, they're just thoughts that we've told ourselves over and over and over again. So I remind myself of all of those things. Did that answer the question?
Oh, it's such a good response, and it's making me think of I know obviously here we're talking about playing bigger, playing beautiful, but also playing small is great because part of how you play bigger is you've been playing small and you've had these small wins that add
Yeah.
up to the big wins, but we can
Yeah.
so easily forget that. But recording a podcast, editing the podcast, being in business for 5 years, running a session,
Yep.
raising a
Yep.
child daily, going through a separation or a divorce, caring for aging parents, all those things are actually wins.
Yeah,
You woke
absolutely.
up, you're here. That's a
Yep.
win.
Yeah, exactly.
Some days it's just a
Just
tough
getting through the
day.
business day to day is a win, right? Just
Yeah.
surviving this year is a win.
Yeah. I think we have these, really high, I know I have very high expectations on myself, which I love. I think it's part of what pushes me forward. But it's also, yeah, it's being able to bring it to the moment and to now and say, okay, well done. That was really good. Just here and now.
It's a
Yeah.
tricky balance, right? Because I think as an entrepreneur, you kind of need that ambition and push to better yourself, right?
Yeah.
But then you've got to have, like you said, that balance to also recognize that nothing always happens the way you want it to, or your journey is going to be slow and fast at different times and different seasons. And yeah, I think that's also a quality we all pretty much embrace, that
Yeah.
desire to be better and do more, which can be a
Yeah.
good thing. Yes.
And definitely, being aware of the seasons, because it took, look, I think it does. It takes us going through some of those seasons in our own business and having a few years pass to go, oh, yeah, okay, wait, there really is a pattern. Like there genuinely are
Yeah.
times where it's busier, where it's more quiet. There are
Yep.
times when, the market is changing or changed and it's all okay, right? And it's
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
growing into that confidence of yourself through the seasons as we can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so I would love to now find out what self is your favorite and why. And so to help you answer this question, I can show the 6 selves on the screen. Would you like me to do that?
No, well, you came in and did an incredible masterclass in my membership. So I'm familiar with them now, but I did have another look at them recently. The one that I love and that really stands out to me is the legacy self,
Yeah,
just like
wow.
shines out to me. And I suppose, again, that just feels really aligned with my work that I do and how my journey through life, in that I think, we all should be here to make the world a better place, and the world is always changing and evolving. And I think it's about, I think when I looked at your page, there was that question at the end around, well, what do you want to be remembered for years down the
Yes,
track? And
yes.
I think that's what we all should be asking ourselves. It's not for what we do, but it's for how we make people feel, how we leave the world. And I think authenticity, which I think is also linked to yourself, like that is a huge piece of, again, the work I do with women, but how I try to show up every day. I think the more authentic we can be in how we show up every day, the better and the more aligned we're going to be with, our true selves and the impact we can create with others in the world. So, yeah, that legacy self really speaks to me.
Oh, how gorgeous. Thank you, Fee. It's funny, I think on the last 3 podcasts, that's been the favorite
Oh,
one. So
really?
yeah, it's interesting. It just sort of goes in different ways. But yeah, it's so beautiful. And also speaking of masterclasses, you are actually scheduled to do one for us as well. And
Yes.
I believe we've got you booked in to do one for the valued self. Is
Yes, we did talk about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 And interesting that that's actually been, one of the themes that was coming up today
Yeah,
for you as well was the valued self.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
I have a last question, and then I actually have a bonus fun question for you as well. So, first one is, what advice do you have for others who are creating a business that serves both the world and their heart?
Well, probably I feel like I need to mention values again. No, get really clear and understand fully like what matters to you, how you want to show up in the world. And again, when it comes back to personal branding, one of the first thing I start with, if I work with people from a clean slate, is what is your purpose or your why, as Simon Sinek says. Like, um, what is it that drives you in your life? What do you want to change about the world? How do you want to show up? What do you want to do? So really start with your values and your why. And because sometimes we don't know what that is, but I suppose it goes back again to really listening to your intuition and your gut and just taking those steps forward. And sometimes those first steps we take aren't the final steps, like me with my wedding photography for 10 years, right? Like I am so I feel so aligned with my purpose right now, but that's taken me 20 years. But it also doesn't mean that I didn't love that work. That was just the part of my journey, the beginning. So just follow your gut in terms of how you want to show up in the world and the impact you want to make. And I just feel like if you follow your heart that way, you can't really go wrong. It's going to keep sending you in the right direction.
Yeah, beautiful, wise words. It's, following the breadcrumbs,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
trusting the process. Yeah. And then I think, do you think also, being consistent? Because it might be that it's great, or it might be that it takes a bit of time. Again, it's the small wins. It doesn't
Yeah,
happen
and
overnight
yeah,
always.
consistency is important. And another word I often use is momentum, like just letting the momentum kick in. And I think, again, in business, we often, if we don't feel that result we want straight away, or maybe the joy we want straight away, like we can lose steam or lose belief in ourselves and that it's going to work. But I think, in particularly these days, because business is getting tougher with all the, the competition out there and the saturation of information, we have to fight through to even get people to hear our message. Momentum takes time. And I think you just got to keep showing up, making the right decisions, offering value to your audience, and don't give up too soon as well.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. I love it. Okay, your bonus question. This is a nice, easy one for you, Fee. What is your favorite place to travel, or where is your favorite place to travel, I should say?
Oh, that's not easy, Deb.
That's not easy.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I have been lucky to have traveled a fair bit. Look, for my 40th, which was, I'm now 51. So for my 40th, we went overseas. We took our kids who were 5 years old at the time, and we went to Italy for 5 weeks. And that was the dream holiday I had always imagined, and it really was a dream holiday. I loved their way of life. I loved the culture, the history. And sometimes if I'm like, well, if I had nothing at all impacting my decision, where would I retire? I sometimes think I would go to Italy for sure, somewhere on the beach. But yeah, that's one of my favorite places. I've been to so many other countries I love as well. So many places in Asia, like I went to Japan last year, and that's probably, other than my Italian trip, coming home from Japan is one of the times I've been most homesick, because I absolutely loved our time there. And again, just the way they show up, and the way they live in such a polite manner with each other, and the food. I could give you so many answers, but I'll say Italy.
Yeah, I love Italy too. I think actually my favorite place, I haven't been to that many places, and I feel like when I wasn't aware how lucky I was to travel. I was either kind of a bit young and naive, or I was traveling on a retreat for some sort of practice, and I was just like so all consumed with the practice. But Rome was amazing. Rome stood
Mm,
out to me. Obviously amazing coffee, amazing food, and just I think being around, the ruins and the history, it just
yeah.
felt so like vibrant and live, and like there's an energy in Rome.
Yeah.
Land there. It's like it just felt grand and amazing to me.
Oh, you can just spend weeks just walking the streets, can't you? And
Seriously.
and
Yeah.
when you come from Australia, right, it just makes such a great impact, because we just don't have that depth of history here.
Oh,
Makes
okay.
you
I'm
feel
setting the
quite
intention
insignificant.
for my 50th, which is 6 years away. Let's do a trip to Rome, gelati, coffee. We can chat business and life. We can walk around Rome together. I'm setting that intention. Divine
That
out
sounds
community.
amazing.
Let's make magic happen.
You're going to sell out that retreat. I'm just
Just
saying.
eating
Calling
gelati.
it. I'm
Gold.
calling it.
Nothing else. That is us officially done, but I'm always happy to stay and chit chat with you, Fee. Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience? Yeah.
No, I think just follow your purpose, follow your gut, follow your values, go out and do what you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep shining.
Keep shining. Choose to shine. Choose to
Yes.
shine. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Fee. It was such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks,
And we'll
Deb.
have
So
all
great
of the
to chat with you.
links in the show notes and make sure everyone can find you on Insta and yeah, learn more
Perfect.
about you.
Thanks so much for having me.
So welcome. The information provided on this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered medical, health, or financial advice. Always consult with a qualified health professional or financial advisor before making any decisions related to your personal health or finances.